So today I'm going to talk about the new stock I have started buying. If you watched my video on Friday, which was the stocks I'm buying September 2024 edition, you would have seen on that video that I said I'm buying a brand new stock, but I'm not going to put it in today's video because on Monday I want to give it its own full dedicated video rather than a 3-4 minute segment on that video. Today is that day where I go through this new stock that I am buying. So I hope you enjoyed the video, guys. All I ask is if you could hit that like button as well. Make sure you subscribe to the YouTube channel. We are closing in on 16,000 subscribers. So if you could help me get there by the end of maybe this month, that'd be absolutely amazing. But let's get started on today's video. Now, as always, if you do want to see what I'm buying and selling in real time, make sure you join the Patreon. A link is in the description. You get 2 exclusive videos a week on there as well. You support the YouTube channel with a Discord with 500 members on to talk about stocks, including me, and it's all for £5 a month, the price of a pint. So if you do want to join us, guys, get on there. I'll be doing my UK portfolio this week and how it's all going on the Patreon. Anyway, getting on to the stock, I actually mentioned this about 3 weeks ago on the YouTube channel. I said this is bad news plus Celsius and a new stock I might buy. So I said I might buy this stock 3 weeks ago, and I did go buy it, which is Ulta Beauty. I did go buy some shares in Ulta Beauty, and after making that video, what happened is Warren Buffett, clearly or Berkshire Hathaway, a few people say it wasn't Warren Buffett that bought the stock, whatever, Berkshire Hathaway anyway, bought the stock. So yeah, it's clear that Berkshire Hathaway watched my videos before every board meeting when deciding to buy a stock. Anyway, so they have bought the stock, and the stock did go up after that time frame. Since then, they have actually, let's have a look there. You can see the bump in the stock after Warren Buffett or Berkshire Hathaway bought the stock. Sorry to offend people. Since then, though, the stock has dropped down a bit since and given some of those gains back after it reported earnings, and we'll also talk about those earnings today. So let's talk about the positives to start with, and then we'll get on to some negatives, because there is some negatives. Because when you look at the share price, year to date it's down 27%, and since its all-time highs only in March 2024, so even this year, since then the stock has actually fallen down 35%. So there's something going wrong with this business for it to be falling that much. However, historically, look at that. It's been a very good performer in the stock market. So, Ulta Beauty. If you don't know Ulta Beauty, because in the UK we don't have an Ulta, I've got to say, UK market, I don't know if it could be potentially something it does look into, I don't know. But Ulta Beauty, they are a seller of makeup, fragrances, a lot of beauty products. And you can go into the store and go buy some of their products. They're also a very good e-commerce platform as well. They have a lot of sales through the e-commerce, and they do other things like beauty services. So you can go actually into the stores and go get a haircut, for example, or whatever, inside the store. So there's a lot of crossover sales that do go on inside the business. Now, when you look at makeup is very popular and growing as well. It's a big trend at the moment where there's a lot of makeup brands growing at very good rates. Makeup as a category is growing at very good rates as well. And if we do have a look at the annual Talking Teen survey in spring 2024, you can see here beauty remains a heightened priority, reaching the highest level seen since spring 2018, and with 8% year-over-year growth driven in all categories. So beauty is still remaining strong. What is another key point here is that beauty consumers still prefer to shop in stores. That's a big thing. People are still choosing to go get all their makeup in store rather than online. So we talk about this online switchover where people don't want to go to the stores anymore, especially with the younger audience as well. That changes in beauty. People are still willing to go into the store and buy it instead of being online by 85%. And you can see that Ulta is conceding some mindshare to Sephora, which we will talk about some competition a little bit in the future. But with both retailers having 60% loyalty membership penetration, our viewpoint remains that both retailers can successfully coexist. Really, Ulta and Sephora are kind of like a duopoly in the in-store makeup space at the moment. So we've got a good growing sector, and we can see here that also this is something that hasn't really been affected by the online boom as much. And also what Ulta Beauty have been able to do is they've actually built themselves a good online presence as well. Now, if we look at the products, you can see a good breakdown of the percentage of products here. You can see that 28% of sales are actually coming, and this is from 2022, actually come from the e-commerce part of it, which is very good to see that they are very good at the e-commerce expansion at the moment. What also is very good is their loyalty program. Their loyalty program has been growing at very good rates at the moment, and you can see 95% of total Ulta beauty sales are made by Ultimate Rewards membership. So what is happening here is that obviously you're getting makeup quite regular, people are going to Ulta, they're giving you discounts as you collect the loyalty products and also maybe exclusive products. So this is tying people into Ulta. This is why they've been able to stop the online or losing online market share to the likes of Amazon, for example. So this is really good, and I think at the moment, I think it's something like 2/3 of their sales are actually coming through this program at the moment, which is really good to see. And the loyalty program has been a key success for them, as you can see. Other things that are going on is they have got a partnership with Target, so they are trying to put some Ulta Beauties into Targets at the moment. This is just to be a bit more convenient. Obviously, people are precious about the time. Sometimes they don't have the time to go into a makeup shop, but if you can go do it while you're doing your shopping, hopefully that helps a few people that are struggling for time to go get some of their makeup products. So this is a partnership that seems to be going well, because they did start with 100 Target stores nationwide, and that has really ramped up since this was announced back in 2020. Another thing that potentially could help Ulta Beauty is their expansion. So the big thing that where Ulta has had good success over these last kind of few years is because of expanded stores. Kind of in the US now, they're kind of at the peak of where they can go in the US. So what they are looking is at some expansion. One of the things they're looking at some expansion is into Mexico, obviously not too far away from where they're currently at, and they are looking to do this in 2025. Now, the only thing that I'm going to mention is they haven't mentioned this in the last two conference calls. However, it's probably something that isn't going to get mentioned because, like we said, it's something that's going to happen in 2025. So there's nothing to really update at the moment until they actually start opening up the stores and we talk about how they're going. So that could be something that's really good next year that happens with Ulta. The other thing with Ulta is, it, like we've seen with the share price, it's got a very good track record of delivering. You can see here the revenue growth has been very good in the company, and as well as that, the profit growth has also come up with the revenue growth, which has been really good. The revenue has been driven up, and the profit margins have gone from around about 8% to where they are around about now, which is 12-11%, which is a very good expansion as well. Also with the business, you're getting a company with a very good balance sheet, as you can see here. There's no debt on the company at all. They do sit on some cash here of around about 430 million. And the company is forecast to throw off about $1 billion a year in cash or earnings, which is obviously very good. Now, what Ulta have also done very well is they've returned a lot of this to shareholders, and they don't do it through dividends. The way they do it is through share buybacks. So if you do look at the stock, for example, the shares outstanding was 64 million around about 2014. That has reduced to 48 million in 2024. So they have been very aggressively buying the shares back in the last few years. That's very good as a shareholder, because if there is less shares outstanding, you as a shareholder, your shares that you own, let's say you own 1 share out of 10, if they take 2 off the market and now there's 8 shares outstanding, you as a shareholder are owning more of the business. As well as that, other benefits are the likes of the EPS and the valuation looking cheaper as shares are less outstanding. This is really good when a company is buying back the shares. At the moment, that is what Ulta are doing, and they should continue to do, because like we said, if we do look at the company is throwing off a good amount of profitability every year, around about 1 billion-ish, and if they can continue buying back shares, it will look very good for the business and the share price as these shares are being bought back. Let's get on to the negatives, because there was some negatives out here. So the recent earnings came out and the numbers at the front of it were okay. Like, there was a little bit of a miss on the EPS. There could have been a little bit better. Revenue growth of 4%, which I think is actually not too bad in the current environment. But apart from that, it got a lot worse from here. So they downgraded the guidance, and the guidance was quite a big downgrade, especially on the comparable stores. We went from 2 to 3% expected to -2% to 0% flat at the moment. That is not what you want to see. So there is a slowdown coming on in Ulta Beauty at the moment. Listening to the conference call, the way that management put it down to is a few things. They tried to say that there was some changes on the system that caused a few impacts. However, what my big takeaways from listening to the conference call is, first of all, competition. The likes of Sephora coming up, that was a bit of an impact, but also the weak environment that's out there. whether you listen to any other kind of brick and mortar store, the consumer is spending less, and that's the big thing that's happening. We've seen this with a lot of companies, and I think that this isn't just an Ulta Beauty issue. I think it's just the consumers running out of money, and I think that this will come back in the next kind of couple of years, and I think this could be an opportunity to buy Ulta, but it is painful at the moment. And we're seeing what we're seeing with so many other companies is saying the average ticket. People are going into the stores and they're buying less as well. So I think there's the element of there's competition here with the likes of Sephora, for example, but also I just think that we're in a weak time at the moment. I think that will resolve itself going forward. The only thing that stood out to me as well in the conference call is they did mention that July was the weakest month of the quarter. Obviously that was the last month of the quarter, so I expect that when we enter Q3 we could actually see a weak Q3 as well. So I'm not in a rush to really buy heavy into this one, because I think there's a chance we do have another awful Q3 with this one and we might get it a little bit cheaper, so I'm just considering that in the background. By the time we get to Q4, we get to the Christmas period, and when we start getting some interest rate cuts, hopefully maybe the consumer gets a little bit more confidence there, a couple more pay rises from the consumer to try and keep up with inflation. Potentially by the end of this year, then we start seeing the recovery into 2025. So I think Ulta Beauty could be down at these prices for the next kind of couple of quarters, but by 2025 is maybe where we see the kind of recovery from Ulta Beauty. The other thing is that you are getting it on a discount to what it normally trades at. So normally Ulta Beauty has sit around a 30 plus times multiple. After the CV situation, it did drop more towards like a 20 times multiple, and then we've had the big fall off down to 13 at the moment. So it's historically trading a lot lower than what it has historically done. However, we are going to have a little bit of a drop in profitability, so that P ratio is probably around about 15 at the moment, but still it's historically a lot cheaper than what it has normally been. And this is probably why Warren Buffett or Berkshire Hathaway are buying the stock at the moment, because they're seeing a good performer, good amounts of profitability, good balance sheet, and they're buying back a ton of shares. And hopefully when this consumer weakness kind of goes away, Ulta Beauty bounces back and we should do quite well. So I can kind of see the similarities what Berkshire Hathaway is seeing at the moment. So I'm buying shares, but I'm being a little bit cautious because I do think Q3 could still be a bit of a stinker, and then into 2025 is maybe where we see the recovery in Ulta Beauty. So let's have a look at some numbers and see what's going on with Ulta Beauty. So looking at Ulta Beauty, I have put a share buyback in because that's one of the key things going on in this business is the amount that they're buying back shares. So I've put around about a 2 billion share buyback in the next kind of 5 years. Ignore the years on here, I've just not updated them. Revenue growth of 357%. I think they'll come somewhere in that sort of range. That's historically what they've normally done, and obviously they'll have easier comps next year. So yeah, somewhere around that sort of range, and obviously they're still growing 4% in this environment at the moment as well. So you know, imagine if we do get in a good one, I think they will come somewhere between that 5-7% range. Profit margin, I put a 10% profit margin in, which I think is quite conservative. Last time I've run the numbers, I actually put 11% profit margin in. I've just kind of, because of the downgrade that is going on, I'm just being a little bit more cautious, and I have downgraded that. So yeah, if you do look here, for example, it is currently at a 10% profit margin. It was all the way up at 12, and even before 2020, it was around quite close to a 10% profit margin. So I've just been a little bit more conservative on that profit margin there. For an earnings, I put 20 times earnings in because I think if they do get back to these numbers, the company will go back up to 20 times earnings. And you can see here on the low side, there's still upside, mid side upside, and on the high side, there's that 100% upside on there. So that's really good to see. And obviously, like I said, I think that's quite conservative because I think what we'll probably see is that profit margins go back up. But even then, it still looks okay from the upside. What will be more attractive from Ulta Beauty is if we do get another kind of drop on the share price. If we can get the stock in I think ideally Ulta Beauty would be very attractive in the $250 to $300 range, which is obviously around about another 20% drop on the share price. I think if you do get another drop, another 20% drop on the share price, that would be, you know, really attractive for the stock. I mean, for example, I'm just trying to do some quick maths for you guys. I mean, that would probably be around about 13 billion-ish with a buyback, probably about 11 billion market cap. Yeah, and then you get really nice upside there. So yeah, I've bought, and you know what, I'm probably not, I bought the stock, and I'm probably not going to be too active buying because I'm going to hope that the Q3 is another, I think Q3 will be another bad one, and then I'm going to hope that I get Ulta Beauty in the kind of like $250, $300 range. I think that's really attractive there. So I bought a starter position, and then I'm going to see if the stock goes down and I can buy more shares at cheaper prices if it does have a bad Q3. And then I think by 2025, 2025. We should see hopefully the consumer recovering, and also I think the company will have easy comps, and then it'll actually do quite well in going towards like the back end of 2025. So that's kind of my game plan around the Ulta Beauty, and we'll see what happens anyway. So hope you enjoyed the video today, guys. If you could hit that like button, if you haven't already, make sure to subscribe. Let's get that 16,000 subscribers hit by the end of the month if we can. I'll do a live Q&A special if we do get there on the YouTube channel. As always, thanks for watching, guys. See you in a bit.